Okay, so I've just received a question in my email saying I've got a question that how can I the array list into a combo box? So how can I add an array list into a combo box? I do a loop, all of the array list, and convert it to a string, and then add to combo box by using the syntax add array list. But it seems doesn't work for me. Could you suggest for me any hints relate to it? Okay, so English isn't a person's first language. That's fine. I know what they mean. So they're trying to add an array list of items to a combo box, and that's not working for them. So I just thought I'd do a video, and rather than just focus on just array list, I'll do it for arrays as well, just to show you that it's exactly the same. It's just different syntax. Okay, so I've got all of my code will be in my GitHub, and a link will be in the description. And the code at the start of the video that I'm starting with a quick template. I've done a quick template before starting. That'll be in the video, so you can follow along if you want to, which is a great thing to do. A great way to learn is to grab my code, that code from the start of the video, which is in my GitHub, and it'll be called this. Something like that. So version 0.01 start of video. Just look for a zip file that's got that in the name, okay, in my GitHub, and in the link in the description, and that'll let you start along at the start of the video, and then we can work through it together, okay. And also put the code at the end. I'll also put the code at the middle as well, depending on how we go, depending on how much we do, okay. So just check the description, but yeah, so that's the start of the video one, and it'll be something like that in my GitHub. It might not be called exactly that, but it'll be version 0.1 or something like that, and there'll be startervideo.zip. That'll be the original starting code, okay. Okay, so here's my starting template code. Okay, so I've got some imports at the top. I've got a public class followed by extends JFrame, so it's going to be a GUI application. I've got a label and an array combo box label, so array label and array combo box, just so I can have an array for the combo box for the array, and then an array list label and an array list combo box. So these names don't really matter. I'm just calling them so I can have the array data in this one, in this combo box, and the array list data is going to go in this one. And then I've got a button there called Get Combo Box Selections, and that's just got a new J button. Okay, and I'll have a label called results label or output label or something. Output label, doesn't really matter what to call it. It's just going to show you the results of what's selected. So this button here is going to determine what's selected in that combo box and that combo box, and display the results in this label. Okay, nothing in the label for now. Okay, so let's add those items to our user interface, and I'm going to add so jpanel panel 1 equals new jpanel, and I'll make it a flow layout, new flow layout, and it's going to be flow layout dot center. Just makes everything look nicer when it's centered on the screen. So I'll have panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, panel 3. So I've got 3 panels all with flow layout, and I'm going to have this label and that combo box in the first one. So panel 1 dot add. I'll add that label, followed by the combo box, followed by the combo box, which is that. And we'll do the same thing for the other components as well. So panel 1 is going to contain the first label in a combo box for the array. Then panel 2 is going to contain the array list versions of those. So array list label and array list combo box. Don't forget, if I'm going too fast, you can always pause, stop, and rewind the video. Okay, I'm trying to go slow. This is coding really slow for me. Okay, because I'm talking and thinking and explaining things as I go. My normal coding speed is much faster. Not to brag or anything. It's just I've been coding a long time. It just comes out of me like water out of a tap. Okay, so I've got panel 1, panel 2, panel 3. Okay, so I've got panels set up with those components in the button and the output label, and now I need to add those to my user interface. So let's make the user interface a grid layout. Set layout. So this is the layout for our JFrame. New grid layout, and it's going to be 3 rows, 1 column, and no gaps between them, so I'll just leave it like that. And I always put a little comment there to say R, C. I still do it even after all these years, and that's the number of rows and columns. Just a little reminder there at the end to remind me what the rows and columns are. I really don't need to do that now. I haven't needed to do that for years, but it's just a habit. I find it hard to break it. Whenever I go into autopilot mode, I keep doing it. And into the first row of the grid for our user interface, I want to add the panel 1. and then I want to add panel 2, panel 3, panel 2, panel 3, and the last thing I want to do is wire up the buttons. So I've only got one button. Add ComboBox.add item, add action, even better, listener, and I'm going to do it the Lambda way, which is much shorter. Get, I'll call it the same name without the button. Get ComboBox selections. That's going to be the button name, the method name. Okay, so just show that bit. Okay, there's event dash greater than get ComboBox selections, and that's going to be the method that's going to run whenever that button is clicked. So private method, private void get ComboBox selections. We'll just fill in a placeholder for now, and it's going to set output label dot set text to, it's going to say clicked for now. Okay, just so we've got something coming out in the label. Okay, so very simple GUI, nothing to it yet. We haven't even started with the arrays and the array list part yet. We're going to come on to that next, but let's just run our little GUI now and see what it looks like. Control 1, set text should be uppercase T. I had the shift key down. Set uppercase T text. And there's our GUI. And so I've got a array list combo box here, array combo box, array list combo box, and I get combo box selections. And when I click it, it's going to say the label, set the label to clicked. So it's not doing much so far. Okay, I might even shrink this down to make it so it's a bit thinner and maybe a bit smaller that way as well, just make it a bit more manageable. Okay, so let's do that as well. And we'll come down here and we'll set the size to 600 wide and 300 high should do it. Okay, something like that. Okay, so that's our basic GUI. Just some basic GUI components. Create some panels, add the GUI components to panels, add the panels to our user interface, and activate our button so it's clickable, so that this code runs when our button is clicked. Very basic stuff. Okay. Okay, so let's declare an array and an array list, and we could do that anywhere we like. We could do it. We could create the array up here as a static constant or whatever. But I'll just create mine. Well, I'll create mine down here just to space it out a bit. So I'm going to create an array of strings. And I'm going to call it names array, and I'm going to just give it a hard-coded list of values. So open curly brackets, Moose, Frankie, Bella, Teeny, Weenie, close curly brackets, or braces, semicolon, and I've missed out my comma there, I put an M by mistake. That's all right. So now we've got the names array. Okay. And so what you can do, there is a shortcut when if this is declared as a constant up here, you can pass that array through here and create the combo box. Okay, but we're creating it down here, so we won't do that. We'll use a loop to populate our combo box now. But just keep in mind there is a shortcut you can use if you declare the array up here. Okay, in fact we could probably redeclare the array down below and create it as well. But anyway, I'll do it the hard way, which is using a loop. Okay. Now, really, we should be saying what's in the combo box. Otherwise, you can end up with things where Java thinks it's a raw. Java gives you warnings about being raw data. In fact, let's leave it as raw data for now, and we'll have a look what happens. Okay. And so for int k is equal to 0, k is less than the number of names in our names array, which is namesArray.length. We're using the length property to get the number of items. K++. And we want to say combo box, array combo box dot add item. So we names array square brackets k. Okay, so that's populating our combo box with data from the names array. For each item in a names array, we're going to add it as an item to our combo box. And we do the same thing for array list. Array list. Let's make the array list that's of type string. Okay. Names. Use the same name, but call it array list. List equals new array list string. And let's populate our array list. And array list.add Samuel. I'll add some different names in here. And Ben and Boogle. So we've got three names added to our array list, and let's now add those to our array list combo box. So we still need a loop. We'll copy this code, paste it down below, but instead of looping through the names array.length, we're looping through the array list, and you don't use length for the size of the array list, you use the size method. So length is a property of array, so that's why it's just length with no round brackets. But for array list, it's size, and down here it's names array list dot get k. So we're getting each item out of the array list with the get and with the get method. Okay, that gets for get 0 gets us the first item in the array list. When k is 1, get 1 will get us the second item, which is Ben. And when k is 2, get 2 will get us the third item in the array list, which is Boogle. So it's 0, 1, 2. Everything starts at 0 in Java. Okay, so Samuel's number 0, Moose is number 0 here. Okay, and we can add those items to the array list combo box. We're adding those to the array list, not the array. Array list combo box dot add item, and that's it. Okay, so this is populate the names array list and array list combo box, and this one up here is populate the names array, and the array combo box. Okay, so I'm just updating the comments as I go. This is building the basic GUI. Graphical user interface. Okay, so we've got our combo box is populated now. Control 1, and see we've got the excellent come out. And Java uses unchecked or unsafe operations. That's what I was talking about before with the data types not being declared. So up here we haven't told Java what we're storing in our combo boxes. So it's when we get the data out of them or put data into them, it's saying we're using potentially unsafe operations. Okay, so everything we're using here is string. So let's just change to string. So it's string. So we're telling Java we're storing strings in our combo box. So we put string there and string there and string here. Although with Java 7 onwards you can leave that blank. Okay, as long as you put string there, you're okay. And same for down here, we'll put it there. I just like putting it in just to make it so it's everywhere. And then I've got to line everything up because I've got to have my code neat. Okay, so I'll just put string for the JCombo box less than string greater than. I'll put that there and also there. And also there for that combo box and also there. So we're telling Java we're storing strings in our combo box, and that should make those warnings go away now. Control 1. Everything's good. No more excellent warnings. No more unchecked or unsafe operations. Okay, so it's keeping Java happy. Let's run it. Control 2, and you'll see there's our Moose and Frankie Nut turning up here in this one, and here's our Samuel and Ben and Boogle turning up in this one. So we've got 2 combo boxes there. We're still got to make this button work. It just says clicked at the moment. Okay, and so down here inside here, we want to say what items we got from each combo box. So we could say selected. So for the first combo box, there's a get selected index, and that tells you what number of the item was selected, and 0 is the first, 1's the second, 2's the third, and so on. Plus, and we could also display plus the item that was selected, get selected item. Okay, and that should do us there. Let's just compile that. Everything's good. Okay, so that's for the array combo box, and we can do the same for the array list combo box. Leave a bit of a space. Okay, and then change those to array list. In fact, I might even put a bit of a comment in there. Selected in the array combo box, and I'll say selected in the array combo box, and then followed by the index, and then the item, and then I'll do the same for the array list combo box, which is built using the array list, and it's array list combo box dot get selected item and array list dot get selected index and selected item. No need to add spaces after that one, so we'll just end it there. Okay, there's the closing round bracket and semicolon. Bring this up there if you like, a bit neater. Okay, so all we're going to do with this, with the get combo box selections, we're going to get the selected index of the array combo box and a selected item, and also the selected index and the selected item for the array list combo box. So we're just calling get selected index twice and get selected item twice. Control 2. Okay, so I'll select Frankie from here, which is item number 01. So it should say 1 down here when I do that, and it says 1 Frankie. And Samuel selected here because I haven't changed Samuel's selection in this one. So I'll select Boogle, which is item number 012. So it should now say 2 Boogle here when I click get selected. 2 Boogle. Okay. So you can see I'm getting the values selected out of the combo boxes. Okay. Let's just review our code. So the basic GUI getting built here, and we've got a label and a combo box and an array list label and an array list combo box. So just names. It's just a normal combo box. I just called it array list combo box, so I can tell it apart from the array combo box. I could call them combo box 1 and 2 if I wanted to. They're just names. And then I'm activating the button, and I'm building the names array, and I'm populating the array combo box with those names that are in the array. So I'm doing a loop. Then I'm creating an array list and populating it with names, and then I'm adding those names into the array list combo box. I'm adding them from the array list into the array list combo box. Okay, and then the get button down here just determines what index was selected in the array combo box and what the item was selected. So that gives you the text of the item, and this one here gives you the index of the item. And they start at 0. Like with arrays, combo boxes start at 0. And same for the array list combo box and index and item. Okay, so hopefully that's pretty simple stuff. And just to make this a bit easy to see, I might put them on separate labels, so we've got label 1 and label 2 or something like that. Okay, so let's just have, we'll have output array label, and output array list label, or array list output label, that's better, and array output label. Okay, much better. So 2 labels now to deal with our output, and I've used the same sort of naming conventions as above, so array output and array list output. So let's put those down into our panel. So I might need another panel for those, and rather than having them on the same panel as a box, I'll let them into their own regions. I'll make it so the panel 3's only got the button, and I'll add the labels as separate items down here. So array output label and array list output label, and don't need those there. That's just for placeholders. And now we've got 5 items, 5 rows in our array. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're adding the button just in its own area, and then the labels after that in their own slots on the grid layout. Okay, so we've got now 5 rows, 1 column, 1, 2, 3 for the panels, and then 1 for each label. Okay, let's go down, and it's going to be for the array list label, or the array label. And next one's going to be for the array list label, array list output label. Set text. Okay, so there's the selected items to the array combo box, and there's the selected items to the array list combo box. Just a little bit clearer to separate them out, just make it a bit clearer for you to see. Okay, so if we go, Teeny Weenie's number 0123, so she's index 3, the 4th item, index 3, and we'll select Ben, which is the 2nd item, which is index 1. Oops, sorry about that. And so we'll see 3 for Teeny Weenie and 1 for Ben, which is exactly what we expected. Okay, all good. let's move on to something a little bit harder. What if we had, instead of strings, what if we had employees? So we'll create our own class. Class employee. And normally do this in its own file, public class employee in its own file. I'll just put it all in one file for now, so I'll leave the public out. And that means I can add it in the same file as this other class. And we'll have private name is a string, and private int is age. Just two silly fields. A constructor, public employee, that takes in a string name and an age. And sets the class field name, which is this.name, to the name passed in, that string passed in, name. Same for age, this.age equals age. If you're not sure about what I'm doing here, check out my other videos. I'm trying to focus just on the array lists and things now. For now, we could have the set and the get methods for each of the fields as well, and compare to and equals and all those sorts of ones. You can add all that in, that's fine, but I'm just going to add the toString method in, because that's the main one we want. So public string toString. So we want a string representation of our data, which is return. I want to say it's an employee with the name plus comma age plus age plus full stop, just for good measure. So we're telling a little story. So for each employee, we're going to return name followed by their name, comma age followed by their age. And like I said, you could have all the other methods in here: the getters and the setters, the accessors and mutators, the compare to, the dot equals, and all the other ones we've covered in other videos. I'm just going to keep it simple for now. Okay, so let's now add employees into our arrays and our array lists, and then make those into combo boxes. So we'll keep the combo boxes as strings now, and I'll show you a trick a little bit later on. Okay, so let's leave them as strings. And so down here, I'll comment out all this code. This is our old string code, sorry. /*. So this is the old string stuff. Okay, so I'll comment all that out. And now let's make the array of employees and the array list of employees, and we'll add those into the combo boxes. Okay, so let's do that. So this is now employees. Okay, let's declare a simple employee. Just make sure we're all on the same page. Employee emp equals new employee. Let's look what fields we need to pass through to the constructor. And it's a string, which is their name, followed by an integer, which is their age. Okay, so followed by, and I'm only 21, honest. About half a century ago. Okay, so that's declared an employee called Moose and an age of 21. I wish I was. Okay, so we can now print them out to the screen. Systemout.println.out.println. Now we've got no getters in here. We've got no accessor methods, no get name, get age. All we've got is our toString. Okay, and we should put an override at the front of that, and that gets Java to do extra checking for us to make sure we're overriding the right version of the toString method. And I've got videos on that as well if you want to see that. So override's a good thing. Just put that in whenever you're overriding or using a toString method. Okay. So all we've got is toString. So Java's going to call this automatically because we've used public string toString with lowercase to, uppercase s. That's what we've called the method, public string toString. And that's a method that Java knows about. It's part of the object class. And we're using it in our employee class. And if we put override there, Java does extra checking to make sure that we're overriding the right method that matches up with the one in the object class, the parent of all classes in Java. Okay, and so this will automatically be called whenever we need a string representation of our employee. So let's go down and look at that. Systemout.println emp. So if I do that to the screen, Java says you need a string representation of your employee, and so it'll come up and it'll call the toString method. it'll call that method for the employee, which will show Moose, employee name Moose, age is 21. Okay, to the screen. So it's the same as doing this. Emp.toString. They're both exactly the same. Java wants a string representation of the employee. The toString method exists, so Java's going to call it. Okay, and here so that's an implicit call. We're not actually saying this is the method we want you to call, but here we're saying it explicitly. Explicit. We're saying that's the method we want you to call or run, whatever. Okay, so there's an implicit call here to toString. Here it's explicit. We made it very clear we want to call the toString method. Now I like that version. I do like that version. I don't like relying on the fact that Java's going to just call it automatically. I like making my code really obvious and easy to understand. And so when you put emp.toString, it just makes it super clear. So I'll be using that version from now on. Okay, but let's do that. We'll just run that. We'll make sure we get employee name Moose, age 21 to the screen. Control 1, Control 2, and that's exactly what we get. Employee name Moose, age 21. So it's running our toString method down here. Okay. So we can use that same trick to populate our combo boxes. Okay, so let's do that. Let's create an array of employees. Okay, and it's an array of employees, and I'll call it employees array, and we're going to open our curlies and close curlies, and inside here we're going to say the employees we want to create. We're just going to use that syntax there. So Moose is going to be the first one. Bella, and she's 17. And Teeny Weeny, she's only 8. Okay. So these are all of my doggy names, if you're wondering. They're my doggies. Okay, so we want to add these employees now into our array combo box. So again, we want to get this loop, a loop like that. And we're going to loop through. It's now the employee array and employee array, and we want to go .toString. Okay, so we're adding a string representation of our data into the array combo box. We don't need that print anymore. That was just part of the showing you how things work to make sure we're all on the same page. Okay, so I'll type that print up there with that because we don't need that anymore either. We'll comment those two out. That was just to make sure we're all on the same page and understanding how things worked. Okay, so an array of employees, and I'm adding them into the ArrayList combo box, or into the array combo box. Okay, Control 1, Control 2, and there they are. Okay. So if I select that Bella, which is item number 1, because 0 is Moose, 1's Bella, we'll see selected array 1, employee that. Okay. So you can use that index number if you want to go back and look up your original array. Okay, so if this was declared at class level, so we move it up here, so it's declared up at class level, and we'll make it private. Keep all your data private. So that's now declared up at class level. We can also look up this down here. Okay, and so we could use employee selected employee equals employees array square brackets, and then we'll use that index to look up the array. So you see what I've done there? That's our array of employees. That's that chap there, our array of employees. Okay, and I'm declaring another employee, employee selected employee equals employees array followed by the index of the item that was selected in our combo box. And I can just make sure that's okay by doing a print line down here as well. Okay, so I'll go use selected. And this is just the console screen, just because we don't need it to and I'll go .toString. Okay, so we can get the text, we can get the index of the one that was selected. We can get the text of the one that was selected, or the string, and we can also look up the item using the array, the original array, and the index of the selected item, and then we can display it to the screen or do whatever we like to it. Control 1, Control 2. Okay, so I'll look up Teeny Weeny, which is employee number 012, so number 2. And you see number 2, employee Teeny Weeny. And then down here I've got you selected employee, name Teeny Weeny, age 8. Okay, so I've used the index to look up the array and then convert that array object into a toString again, which is exactly what we had here. But I'm just showing you how you can do it. Okay, so you can go back to the original array and get data as well using the index. Let's do the same thing for an array list. And to save us creating more employees, we'll use the array to create the array list as well, just for a bit of fun. Okay, so let's create an array list of employees. Array list of employee. Okay, and I'll call it the employees array list. Okay, and all we need is a loop like this. So we're going to add items to the array list from the array into the array list, and it's .add. And we're not adding the strings now, we're adding the actual objects as well. Okay, so let's add the objects. So whatever object, employee object is stored at that location in the array, we'll add the object into the array list. We could add just the strings. If you want to add just the strings, it's .toString. Okay, but then the array list type would be string, not employee. Okay, so if you want to add the objects, you want to add the actual employees, just make sure you're adding the objects. No .toString now, that converts into a string. Okay, so here we're storing just the employee, the actual employee objects. Okay, and then we'll add those items, same sort of loop, except we'll use our array list to create the, so it's employee array list dot size, and employee array list dot size here, and it's the array list combo box. Okay, so added a just for fun, we've added the array items to the array list, and then we've added the array list to the combo box just for fun. You could have added the array straight to the combo box if you wanted to. Okay, but I'm just showing you how you can have data in many places and it still all works fine. You can add data to wherever you like. Okay, so we've got our array list combo box now. Now let's work out which one of those was selected. So again, it's still get selected index, get selected item, and this gives us the index number of the one that was selected, which corresponds to what's in our array, and also corresponds to what's in our array list. 0 is the first, 1's the second, and so on. And you get the text of the item if you want. Okay, and let's also use that to look up our array list. Selected employee 2 is the employee array list, and it's no longer array list notation for array lists, it's .get, remember? .get and then the index, and it's round brackets. Okay, so employee array list .get instead of the square brackets. Square brackets is array notation, .get is the array list notation, so we're just changing notations. Okay, and then we could say selected employee 2.toString. Okay, let's give that a go. Array list combo box. Oh, sorry, I hadn't changed to array notation. People were probably screaming at the video. Okay, so get k, so square brackets k.toString to get the string of the employee, and adding it to the combo box is a string, and array list .get k.toString to convert the array list item to a string to add to the combo box. And down here another error, cannot find symbol employees array list. Is it employee array list? Is it, oh, I didn't declare that globally, sorry. Let's just move that up to class level. It's only local to this constructor, it doesn't exist down here. Let's move that up to class level as well, so it's a class field or class data, and make it private. Okay, so there's our class data if you like. Okay, that should be fine now. Yep, all good. Control 2. Okay, so we've got our first one, which has got the employees in, and we've got the second one, which has got the same employees because we've added them from the array list to the array to the array list, and then added the array list items into the combo box. So they've all got the same data, but it doesn't matter. So let's select employee name. Let's select Bella here. So it should be index 1 and Bella and age 17. Index 1 and Bella and age 17. Let's do Teeny Weeny for the first one, and it should be index 2 and Teeny Weeny for the first one. Index 2 and Teeny Weeny. Okay, you can see we're getting the data out here on the screen as well. Okay. So that's all it is to it. So you create an array list. Generally, you'll create an array list of strings, okay, and then you'll populate it with data from an array or an array list, okay, and then you can use the get selected index to look up the array or the array list whenever you need to. Okay, that's basically all it comes down to. So it's not hard at all. It's not much harder than what we did for strings. It's just keeping track of the index and using it to look up whatever array or array list you need to look up to get the data back out again, that you get back to the original data. Okay, so I hope this is useful. Thanks for watching. So all the code will be on my GitHub. I've got it so that it's, we've got the one at the start of the video. I've got it up to we finish doing strings, and I'll have a version 3 which is up to the end of the video, which is when we did employees. Well, hold on, it's not so fast. Okay, so there is a fourth option, which I was sort of hesitant of showing because the person who asked this question's not this advanced, I don't think. So anyway, I'll go through this one as well. So this is another way you can do it, okay? So we've been talking about storing strings in our combo boxes. What would happen if we stored employees? Okay, so instead of saying string there, we're saying employee and employee and employee and employee. So our array list is no longer off strings, it's off employees. What would you see on screen? Okay, we need to change our code a little bit down here. We're no longer adding the toString to the combo box. We're now adding the data, the raw data for the employee out of the array. Okay, so we're not adding the string version of it, we're adding the actual raw employee data. Okay, and then same down here. Instead of adding the string version of it, we're now adding the raw employee data. We're getting into the sort of a lower level. We're not looking at the nice string representation of the data. We're looking at the actual raw employee data being added to the combo box. What will we see on screen? Would this work? We need to change this code down here a little bit because we're no longer looking at get select. Well, actually, do we? Let's just have a look. So all we changed so far is we changed it so our combo boxes contain employees, employee, 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 employee. That's what we've changed, and we've made it so we're adding the raw employee data, not the .toString version, and the raw employee data to the array list, not the .toString version. I left the old code there so you can see it. Okay, let's run that and see what happens. And look what happens. What on earth is going on? Okay, it's almost like Java knows we want a string representation of the data in our combo box, and it's automatically calling the toString for us, and that's exactly what's happening. Okay, so these are actually raw. This is actually employees in here, but Java knows we want a string representation of it because we're showing it on the screen, and it's automatically calling the toString for us when we're displaying the data and when we're looking at the data. So that's pretty amazing. I need to just change the code down here a little bit. If I run it now, it'll still work. Okay, and that's all fine. Let's just have a look at our code down here. Make sure it is safe. Okay, so get selected item returns the employee, and we're using that in the set text. So Java's automatically adding the .toString onto that for us. Okay, and down here we're doing the toString anyway. But the item that comes out of the array, we can use get selected index to get the item and look up the array, or we just get the employee direct. Let's do that. getSelectedItem. So getSelectedItem no longer returns as a string, it's returning us the actual employee that was selected. Okay, and then we could just display them to the screen. So it's no longer needed to get the index of the selected item and look up the original array. We can just get the data straight from the combo box because it's storing the raw employee data. Okay, and same down here. There's no longer a need to look up the employee index, the index of the selected employee back in the array list. We can just get the employee directly from the combo box. So it's that same code there. ArrayList combo box getSelectedItem. Okay, so getSelectedItem's no longer returning a string. It's now returning the actual employee you selected. So we can call toString on them and get the string representation. Control 1. Okay, so we're going to be a little bit careful here because Java still thinks we're talking about objects, and it's worried about Java's worried we're not doing the right thing, incompatible types, object and employee. So we need to just do a little bit of typecasting to reassure Java we know what we're doing. Okay, so there's a little bit of typecasting to do here. Just need to reassure Java. So it's employee. Okay, so and same up here. Okay, and that's enough. So we're just saying, get me the item out of the combo box and just convert it to an employee for me. And we know it's an employee because we've stored employees in the combo box. So it's got to work. It's just Java's just being extra pedantic and making sure we know exactly what we're doing. And same here. Okay, so just put employee in front to typecast, and then Java's happy. Control 1, Control 2. Okay, so there's the data in the. Okay, so there's the data in the combo boxes, just as before. And when we select that employee at index location 1, okay, we're now not actually looking up the array now. We're getting the data straight from the combo box. Okay, and Bella and Bella. And then if I go down here and go teeny weeny and go get selected again, we'll see teeny weeny and teeny weeny. So we're no longer going back to the original array lists and arrays. Once the data's in the combo box, we can get it from the combo box. No need to go back to the original array. That's commented out. And no need to go back to the original array list. Okay, so this version's even more powerful than the original ones I showed you when we had strings stored in the combo box, because then we still needed the original arrays. Okay, so it depends on what you're trying to do. Do you want the master data to be stored in the array or the array list, or are you happy for the combo box to just be the master data? So it depends on whether things are changing or not. I suggest if you've got employees and you're allowing users to edit them and select them and change them and delete them and all that sort of stuff, then keep the master data in the array, and whenever you need the combo box displayed on screen, make a little method to refresh it with this sort of code here. Okay, so erase the combo box and then and add items to it again. Whenever you need to display it on screen again, refresh it. Okay, so you can always get the latest data displayed in there. Okay, anyway, something for you to think about. So I hope that was useful. I wasn't going to show you that last version there, but then I thought, oh, I might as well just for completeness. Okay, because it is a nice little feature, nice little trick. Okay, hope that was useful. Thanks for watching. All the code's in my GitHub. So I've got the start of the video up to the end of strings, and then up to the end of employees as strings, and I'm going to add a version 4 now with employees as employees. So we're actually dealing with the raw data in the combo boxes. Okay, hope that was useful. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.